My name is Malia Price. This is actually my last class in earning my master's degree in STEM education. A little bit of background information about myself. I am a fifth grade ELA teacher, so I teach reading, writing, and then I also teach social studies. And I teach at Larry J. Macaluso, or LJM Elementary School in Redline Area School District. A couple of my hobbies, I like to bowl, I play mini golf, and I like to bake whenever I have any spare time. As you can see, I have a couple of pictures there. I have a 5-month-old girl. Her name is Amelia. And then I also have a picture of my family with my husband, as well as Amelia when she was a baby. So, answering the first question that we have on which topic we feel or which stage of the action research process that we're going to have the most difficulty with, I actually felt that it was going to be the first area, which is identifying my area of focus. With the fact that I teach so many different things, I teach reading, but then I also have to teach grammar and vocabulary, along with the writing and social studies and how it incorporates everything together. I feel that it's going to be difficult for me to be able to choose something that I am interested in improving with because I'm teaching so many different topics. And also, I feel sometimes that I could always improve in many of those different topics, especially because um, in my undergraduate, I actually was a math teacher. So I am able to teach fourth to sixth in any topic, in any area of subject. But because I've been teaching in reading and writing and social studies this year and last year, I feel that there's so much more that I could end up learning and being able to improve on. Another reason why I think it's going to be difficult for me to choose an area of focus is that I do know that I think that reading is one of the areas that I need the most improvement on. But a lot of times when you are teaching students how to read and how you're able to become a better reader, it's because you're trying to teach them fluency. Most of my kids last year and as well as this year actually read fluently. It's the other areas that they critique them on is where they usually have problems. So, for example, when they are done reading the text, they have to summarize. A lot of my kids will have difficulty being able to tell me what they read and picking out the key parts of what they read. A lot of them will give me basically a whole entire reading all over again where they tell me exactly what they read by rereading everything that they just said, or they give me so little, so small. So I think that that's going to be a little bit of a challenge for me to be able to figure out how I can improve in that area when it comes to reading. Obstacles. So this is our question number 2, and what we think is our daily teaching practice. So, one of the things that I felt that might be a challenge on an everyday practice is that a lot of times we will have to be constantly collecting research, which is great. That means that we're looking for um, information and seeing how effective our lessons are, or maybe how not effective they were in that case. The problem I felt that could become an obstacle is that if you end up having situations where you're um, actually scrapping an idea almost every single day and coming up with something else, I felt that sometimes it might feel like you're doing double the work constantly. Where if you get the information back and realize that many times that the kids are not understanding it, that you end up having to change your lesson and being able to do entirely something else, that you're just going to end up doing your lesson plans over again. And that could even go for the other direction as well, where if you thought that it was going to take you a little bit longer to do something and you realize that the kids understand it and you could really progress and go to the next thing, well, whatever you were going to do the next day, you end up having to change the plans all over again. So I feel that that could be a little bit of a challenge, is being able to figure out how you can collect data um, during your lessons, but not having to do double the work every single time where you have to redo your lesson plans based upon how your data came back. And then stories from the field. Uh, Both of the stories a little bit had more when it came to reading, so that was a little bit resonated with me with the fact that they were both reading. At the same time, though, I'm usually the team that has a little bit of the higher kids. So a lot of them don't necessarily struggle with the reading fluency part, which is where a lot of the EL teachers end up having a little bit of difficulty. So one thing that did resonate with me though was Julie, Nora, where she talked about how there are two different types of people that need to do the action research. Where there's one type of professional who is basically in the trenches, who they where I feel like a trenches kind of was a sum up of like how I just feel about teaching, where you feel so overwhelmed and you're just trying whatever you can in order for you to stay above water is kind of what they say, or stay afloat, where you're just trying whatever you can, trying, and you don't always feel like you're being effective. That's kind of how I've always felt with reading, especially because I don't have a background in reading, especially when it comes to teaching. So I've always felt that um, I want to try new things. I want to make sure that I'm doing whatever I can, but I always don't know that I am being effective at it. So it would be great to be able to have the other type of person where they're able to look at that data and see if I am actually being effective. Another area that I actually really struggle with is giving student feedback consistently. So I'm not always collecting feedback on a daily basis, which is something I know that I should be working on, especially because one of the things that we would need to do in this process is being able to collect the data on a daily basis to be able to be successful. And I'm usually only doing it a few times out of the year. So a lot of times we have our benchmarks that we are required to do. I only do them usually during the benchmarks, where I should be doing it a little bit more throughout the year. I do listen to my students read and do those things, but I don't necessarily evaluate them every single time that I do that. So that could be something that I can also improve upon. Just like a little bit of a tidbit though that I wanted to kind of throw out there is I've kind of felt that as I was reading this, it almost seems like what we have been required to do, which is a slow, is almost what an action research project basically should be, where we should be determining something that we feel either needs to be improved upon or something that we feel that is being effective and being able to prove it within our research. One of the things though that I thought as I was thinking about what a slow is every year is most teachers, when they tell you to do a slow, they're telling you to do something that you're going to end up being successful at because they want you to look good, as they might say, with your scores. But if you think about it, based upon all the information that we're being given, you don't necessarily have to make it that you look good for you to be able to be successful because it can help you to improve. So I thought that was a little bit of a kind of an add-on. I just felt that it was very similar to what we've been doing and what we have had to do every single year in the classroom anyway. So it just is a little bit of a resource for us to be able to make sure that we are doing everything that we need to do on a daily basis effectively.